So one spring, after seeing all the monarch butterflies in a neighbor's yard, I decided I wanted to plant some milkweed and invite butterflies into my yard. I really wanted to see that whole cycle of life, from butterfly hatching, laying eggs, eggs hatching, little caterpillars, getting fat, forming a chrysalis, becoming a butterfly. So I planted milkweed, and the butterflies came, and they laid their eggs, and they hatched. And the little tiny baby caterpillars were born, and I saw them munching on the leaves, and they got fatter still. And I was just loving seeing this whole cycle, although I hadn't seen a chrysalis yet. And one day my friend John came in and he said, I saw a chrysalis under the ledge. And I was so glad to know that the full cycle of life was occurring. And next day or two, I was running out the door to take my dog Lulu for a walk. And I was like, yeah, I got to check to see that chrysalis. And I pulled back the lavender bush. And not only did I see the chrysalis that was already there, but I saw a caterpillar in the middle of creating its chrysalis. The chrysalis was maybe half formed, and the caterpillar was there working on it. And I just thought, what an amazing moment to have just fallen into, to see this caterpillar at this brink in its life. So a couple of days later, I'm heading out the door again to take my dog Lulu for a walk, and I remember that I wanted to check in on the status of that chrysalis, and I pulled the bush back, and I saw the most horrifying sight. And essentially, the caterpillar really hadn't gotten any further than that moment that I witnessed that was so magical to me. And the chrysalis was still half formed, and the caterpillar was dead. And it was like dangling like a piece of black paper mache, just like a thin form of itself. And I was just so devastated. And I continued to walk Lulu around the block, but I just could not seem to compose myself. I was crying, and I was just so upset. And I really couldn't understand why I was so upset. It's one caterpillar. But what I realized is that I had just really identified with that caterpillar. I identified with its brave and courageous journey, to form this chrysalis, knowing that it was going to have to go inside that chrysalis and essentially die to itself to be able to actualize its most beautiful potential in the form of a butterfly. And I was banking on it. And of course, I'm banking on the same thing for myself all the time, that I will be courageous enough to stay on my edge, to grow and live into my most beautiful potential. And this is the work that I'm up to all the time, not only for myself personally, but of course inside all of my coaching partnerships. As a fire starter coach, my clients are coming to me essentially with the dream of the caterpillar at some level inside their hearts. Knowing that there's more for them to create, and more for them to grow into, and more of their own beauty to realize. And gosh, I really just know that ache. I know that vision, and I know the fear that can be associated with it sometime when I'm not moving on it, when I'm stalled out, when I'm stuck, when I'm hesitating, when I feel like I'm living a form of mediocrity instead of really pushing those edges and staying in the conversation about what it is that I'm becoming. And if any part of this conversation resonates for you, if any part of the caterpillar to the monarch butterfly story resonates for you, I understand. And I would love the opportunity to talk to you about it. What I know is that for myself, I really haven't been very successful at doing it on my own. I have this idea that I should, and yet when I really start growing, when I really start taking quantum leaps in my life, is when I form partnerships with other people that will represent my highest vision, and they'll hold it with me. Um, so don't let that slow you down.